But I wanted to ask you about the first WrestleMania, because you were with WWF at that point, but you weren't on WrestleMania 1. Like, what was the buzz for like the boys and the people who were working in WWF at the time when WrestleMania came around?
Just before WrestleMania 1, about a month before is when actually Jim Neidhart and me teamed up for the Hart Foundation. But the general feeling in the dressing room amongst all the wrestlers was that this thing was going to blow up and be over before we had a chance to enjoy it. Wrestling was so big, but everyone thought that it was just going to be a one-off. WrestleMania 1, wrestling would become like a passe the next year. Or everyone thought wrestling was a short-term sort of high. But I just remember all the wrestlers in the dressing room, not all of them, but a lot of them were very worried about the whole company going bankrupt if it wasn't a big success, the first one. And I remember, I was left off the card, and I remember thinking, geez, it would have been great just to say I made it one time to be on the card for WrestleMania. But at that time, there was no WrestleMania 2 or 3 or 4 or anything like that. It was just the big card. So, I mean, there wasn't really, I think when I remember all that time, I know the guys that were on WrestleMania 1, the first one, they all made huge money. Guys made huge checks for, $30,000 and stuff like that for one show. So, I mean, there was a lot of envy in the dressing room, guys like me that were left off the card. We always kind of wished, hoped that we'd get some kind of, there would be a WrestleMania 2 or a 3, but then it turned out that wrestling was just starting to get big. It was just, I have to give a lot of credit to Vince McMahon and the focus and the dream that he had about taking wrestling up to the heights that it's had now. But I know for a lot of us in the dressing room, we didn't think it was going to last that long. We all thought it was over after the first one.
What did you think of WrestleMania 1 with like Mr. T trying to punch people, Muhammad Ali really trying to punch people, and then Liberace dancing with the Rocket? Like, was that as mental as it seems now? Like, insane?
I missed a lot of those guys. I didn't see any of that. I wasn't there. I was home. I never watched WrestleMania 1. I was so kind of choked about not being on the card. At the same time, I've been on the road for about 9 months straight, and I was so glad just to get home for a couple of days. But I didn't watch the pay-per-view. I don't think I've ever watched WrestleMania 1. Only because the only way I could watch it was to pay for it, and at the time, I was counting my money, and I couldn't think of. I had to think of it as a better way to spend my money than put on WrestleMania 1 into some of the wrestlers' pockets that were on that card. But I actually regret that I wasn't there. There was most of the celebrities that you meet for these WrestleManias, or I think WrestleMania 1. I would love to have been around Muhammad Ali and some of the guys that were part of that one.